Ready? So, number 1, how you going to rewrite it, you said? X to the negative 2 dx. Okay, then my endpoints are 1 and 2. Okay, what are you going to do on number 2? I'm just going to set up all 4 of them, then you're going to do them on your own. What you going to do with that absolute value? Graph it. Good. Okay, so if I want to graph it, absolute values of v, which way is it shifted? To the right one, so 1 is here. Then I'm shading from where to where? 0 to 8, so 0 means I got a little triangle, then I'm going to have a bigger triangle. Okay, we'll say 8 is about right there. Now, in order for me to know the dimensions of the triangle, you just had this on your quiz on Friday. How do you know how tall it is at 0 and at 8? Plug it in. Good. What is 0 minus 1? Negative 1. Absolute value negative 1 is? So that's 0, 1. Then how will I know how tall it is at 8? I'll take 8, plug it in. 8 minus 1 is 7. Absolute value of 7 is? So that's 8, 7. So you'll find the area here, you'll find the area here, and then you'll add them together. Okay, take a look at number 3. And actually number 4, you're doing the same strategy. If it's just one thing on the bottom, what do? Subtract the x off the bottom. Very good. Or kind of like split it up. Okay, so if I'm here, I would do x squared over x minus 1 over x. And then I would be like, oh wait, x squared over x, what's that really the same as? X minus 1 over x dx. And then you're going from 1 until e. Okay, same thing with number 4. I would split that up into x squared over x cubed minus 4 over x cubed. Now, for the first one, how does that reduce?
1 over x.
Okay, my extra x is on the bottom, so that's really a 1 over x. But then what do I do with this guy? 4x to the negative 3. Okay. And then 1 to 2. All right, you can do it. I love to help if you need help. You can work with a friend, check your answers. Perfect. Derivative of, that's like a 2/3 x. So the derivative of 2/3 x is just 2/3. And then dx. And then to get rid of the 2/3, you'll flip it and make it a 3/2. Yeah, sure. You can do it. You can do it. You want candy?
I'm gonna start getting
I have a dentist appointment tomorrow.
They're going to be like, Ms. Joyner, have you class had diabetes by the end of senior year? Do you have an explanation? Hey, you can do it. You can do it. If you don't get an answer that's there, you know you did it wrong. So candy for you.
Alright, yeah, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I would think about if it's x to the negative 1, that's really just 1 over x. That's probably how I would think about it, but it's not wrong.
Because I don't like fractions. Fractions gave me anxiety. Okay, well, fractions give me anxiety.
Doing number 1.
Yeah, we're like conversing.
Yeah. 3/2. The du will never be on the bottom. Yeah.
I'm not even good at it.
It was minus. Yeah, you did. You should have a negative on it. Hang on one sec. So y'all look, when you add 1 to negative 2, what's your new power? Negative 1. Then if I divide by negative 1, oops, you can't see it. Then there's a negative 1 now in the front. But before I plug into that, I would think about that's like a negative 1 over x. Because think about it, if x is to the minus 1, that just means really it belongs on the bottom. Okay? Does anybody see the correct answer up there? See it? Do you see? Get it? Do you see it? And then it was C. Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah, that's your bomb.
Yep. Would you like a little kid?
Bless you.
Thank you.
I thought it was great.
You haven't heard my season. My
Galleys are terrifying.
It ain't a competition.
No, I'm not saying
It
that.
ain't a competition. Oh, the red one?
No, the.
Anybody getting number 2?
I think. I think I got number
Can you decide which one's correct?
Wow.
Decide.
Yeah, we got 2 right.
Okay, so it'd be 1/2 for the first triangle. Okay, then how long is the base? 1 times 1. So that's really a half plus. Okay, second triangle, 1/2. My base from 1 to 8 is 7 across and 7 up. So 7 times 7 is 49, so that's 49 halves. And 1/2 plus 49 halves is 50 halves, which is 25. Okay, then on this one, you should have gotten negative 1/2 on top, negative 1 on bottom, and then minus negative 1/2 switches it to a positive. Or I said that wrong, but you get what I mean. So then that becomes a plus. I have negative 1/2 plus 2/2, which gives me 1/2 answer C. Make sense? Okay, so these are all off the AP test in the last couple years. So this is the kind of fraction stuff you might have to do. Okay, number 3. Antiderivative of x, what do you get?
1/2.
Derivative is 1. Antiderivative is 1/2 x squared. What about 1 over x?
Minus ln x.
Ln x. No plus c, because why?
It cancel out.
Yeah, I have endpoints, so I'm not worried about it. They're going to cross out anyway. Let's do e first. I have a half e squared minus ln e. On bottom, I have a half 1 squared minus ln 1. Now, quick question here. ln of 1, you should know. What is it? ln of 1 is 0. And ln and e cross out, but they don't cross out to 0. What do they cross out to? A 1. So ln of e crosses out, but you leave a 1. So on the top, I have a half e squared minus 1 minus. And then on bottom, I have a half of 1 squared. Well, that's just a half minus 0. So I have a half e squared minus 1, and then minus another half. Which one of those will be correct? Which one's equivalent? Too funny with the dead jokes. Okay, number 4. Antiderivative 1 over x. What do you get there? Antiderivative 1 over x. ln x. Okay, here I have to add 1 to negative 3. What's negative 3 plus 1? Negative 2. But then I have to divide negative 2 on the negative 4. It turns to a plus 2. I would not plug into that. How can you rewrite that before you start plugging in? Make it a 2 over x squared. Okay, very good. These are the same. Then you're plugging in 2, plugging in 1, subtracting. See if you can do it. Okay, what happens to ln1? That's a 0. So really I have minus a negative 2, which is really a... Oh wait, hold on. This should have been a plus. So I have a minus 2, which means you should have ln of 2 plus what fraction?
1/2.
Very good. It should be 1.5, right?
Yeah.
Or 3/2. Because I have 1/2 and then minus 2, which would be 4/2. 1/2 minus 4/2 is 3/2. Oh wait, and then that should be a minus. Sorry, I said minus and wrote a plus. Make sense? Okay, turn the page. Okay, you have 4 more to try. Oh yeah. Now, page 1, you didn't have any U sub. Okay, it was all relatively powerful. Okay, now second page, all of it's U sub. Okay, so pick a little friend to work with if you want. Pictures of your notes. What? So what do you pick for number? What's your U? Yup. You can do it. Uh-huh. Yeah. So that means that when you're shading, you're not shading the whole triangle. You're starting at 0 and then you're stopping at 4. That makes it a triangle. So you have the base here at 0. You'll plug in the 0 in the base here at 4. You have 4 on top of this. And then your height would be 4 because that's how far you are across the x-axis. Does that make sense?
I mean, I did the entire instead.
It is, okay, so you have 2 choices. It looks like this time you did it the long way. So is that how you're going to do it this time as well? This is fine. Yeah, what's the sign of pi thirds? So pi thirds is this guy. And then, yes. So it's going to be 2/3 root 3 over 2. And then remember, you can put the tops together. So you'd have 3 root 3. And then on bottom, you'd have 2 times 2, which would be, yes. Anyone see the right answer for number 5?
Yeah.
Which one is it?
Oh my god.
Okay, number 6. Okay, I'll come help you. Oh. Number 6, what is it? That one's not multiple choice.
Working on that, Leon.
Okay, do number 6. Anybody need help with 5, or y'all getting it? So which one are you doing now? Done with 5 yet or no? Okay, so this turns into x over u. Remember, you have to switch that to a u. And then what happens with x and x?
Are you doing with you?
So then that 2 is going to come to the front. So it's going to be a 1/2
Okay.
integral.
Yeah, I was just.
And then once that x is gone, it's a 1 over u. Because the 2's on the bottom. Think about here, this is like a 1 du over 2. So if I pull it to the front, I have to pull the whole thing to the front. So it's a 1/2. My x's are gone, right? Because one's on top, one's on bottom. So then it's 1 over u du.
Is number
And then what's the
7?
integral 1 over u?
Is number 7A supposed to be?
Yeah, the number 7, the first answer choice, the C, I forgot the plus sign. So if you want to squeeze it in there.
Wait, where?
This is a special. 1 over u is ln when you enter it.
Yeah. 1/3 element.
So it'd be 1/2 ln u. And then you take your u and just put it back. Now,
ln of 1.
plus c. And then you switch your u back to being the x squared minus 4. Anybody get number 6?
1/3 ln. ln of 1. So that entire thing's 0.
Should be 1/3 ln 4 is your final answer. Did you get it? We can do it together.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your u? Okay, 3x minus 2, which means du is just a 3 dx, right? So dx is a du over 3. Okay, rewrite your integral. I have 1 over u, du over 3. My 3 comes to the front as a what? 1/3. What's the antiderivative of 1 over u du? ln u. Technically plus c, but I have endpoints, so nobody cares. Now, question, do I go back to my original endpoints? You can do that if you switch this back to u, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to change them. So my top endpoint was a 2. What's 3 times 2? 6 minus 2 is, that's my new top endpoint is going to be a 4. Okay, so I take my 2 and my 1, I plug them in here. So 3 times 2 is 6, minus 2 is now a 4. Plug in a 1. 3 times 1 is 3, minus 2 is a 1. And then I'll plug in 4 and 1. Does that make sense? So on top, I get a 1/3 ln 4. On bottom, I get a 1/3 ln 1. But then what did we say the ln of 1 is? 0. And if this whole term is 0, then that's my answer. Make sense? Okay, try number 7. Make sure you fix answer choice A. Should be a plus C here. Okay, 2 more left, just like that. 7 and 8. Can I see your finger? Okay, but here's the thing. If you change the endpoints, this just stays a u. If you're going to go back to 3x minus 2 and you go back to e,
It would have been better.
that's where it's like, I would just change them every time so you don't ever confuse yourself. If you go back to 3x minus 2, you go back to the original endpoints, now plug in a 2.
It would make a
3
lot more
times 2
sense.
is 6, 6 minus 2 equals 4, that would have been ln 4. But you can't go back to x's and change the endpoints, that messes everything.
I'm actually trying to. Let me grab my notes and shit.
Yep, good job. Okay, if you got it, go to the next page. Try a few more. Challenge yourself.
Oh, no, I already don't like that one.
Oh
Real
my.
math, please.
But I barely got the D.
Tan 2x make this sine 2x over cosine 2x. Thank you.
Just watch your notes.
Yeah.
How many more weeks until we graduate?
Few more. We can do it.
You forgot the square root on the bottom.
I did, yeah. I wrote it up there.
It's a square root. I'm like, I'm done now. Yep.
March, April, May.
Dude, I love how they actually put like the answer to the because people do that. Girl, I can't tell how many times I did that the whole
No, we have like
You did it
next
right.
Monday we don't have.
Integral of cosine
I
and
would have
sine
watched the wrong thing and got it right. At least you wouldn't count against it.
Okay, letter C. Do we have a correct answer up there?
Letter C.
Letter C?
No, it's A, I thought.
You said letter C.
It's
You
A.
said letter C, do we have an answer?
Oh, I meant number 7. Okay, it should have been A. Your U is a 2x. Your du is a 2dx. Which means your integral 3 sine u du over 2. What constant am I pulling out? 3/2 to the front. Okay, then from there I have 3/2 integral sine u. But then snow cone, if I'm already at the top of the snow cone and I go up, where do I end up? Negative cosine. That's why it has to be A. Number 8, what was the correct answer on 8 we said?
A.
Yeah, A is right. Okay, let's do number 8, and then we'll turn the page. So what's my u?
X cubed plus 1.
X cubed plus 1, which means du is 3x squared dx, right?
Yeah.
Which means that dx is what?
Du over 3x.
Du over 3x squared. This part is super repetitive, same pretty much every time. Okay, so my integral becomes, I had a 3x squared on top, I have a u on bottom and a square root. My dx is now a du over 3x squared. What happens? So what do I pull out to the front? Nothing. Or 1 is fine. Okay, so that's really 1 over root u. How do I change a square root off the bottom into a power? 1/2, but negative. Very good. And so if it's negative 1/2 and I add 1 to that, I'm adding 2 halves. What's negative 1/2 plus 2 halves? 1/2. And then if I divide by 1/2, what am I multiplying by? 2 plus c.
Oh, that's where I messed up.
Yeah? So if you divide by 1/2, you're really multiplying by a 2. And that's why the correct answer is A. Good? All right, turn the page. Next one. Okay, turning the page. Okay, I'll do this one with you. Tan 2x, how do I split that up? Very good. Who's on top for tan? So it'd be sine 2x over cosine 2x. Now, for my u, I can't only pick the 2x. If I do, nothing's going to cancel out with sine. So for my u, in case you don't remember, I'm going to pick the whole bottom, which is cosine 2x. If cosine 2x is my u, what is the derivative of that?
2 sine 2x.
So derivative of cosine is negative sine 2x. But then chain rule, what's the derivative of 2x in the middle?
Times it by 2.
2. And then dx at the end. Which means that my dx is really du over negative 2 sine 2x. Then from there, let's rewrite our integral. I have a sine 2x on top. I have a u on the bottom, because remember cosine 2x was a u. And then my du is a negative 2 sine 2x. Sine 2x is crossed out. Boom, boom. What do I pull to the front? Minus 1/2. And then what's the integral of that u? 1 over u, which means that it's ln u, which means it's ln cosine 2x plus c. Now, don't forget also, I was lazy and forgot to put it, but you should have absolute value bars, which means which answer am I choosing? B, yep. Make sense? Okay, the correct answer is not there on number 10, but how do I find average value? Is that average rate of change? No, average value is a formula, 1 over what?
B minus A.
Okay, 1 over b minus a, integral a to b f of x. Okay, remember, average rate of change is different than average value. They both are a formula, but you have to remember which one's which. Now, for negative 1 to 2, what should I put? And I think the reason that it's wrong, change this to a 4, and then I think the right answer is there, maybe. Change this to a 4 before we do it. So it'd be 1 over 4 minus negative 1, integral negative 1 to 4 f of x dx. Now, what is 1 over 4 minus negative 1? That's really a fifth. I switch that to a plus. So I have a fifth here in the front. And then how will I do this integral if I have a graph instead of an equation? Find the areas and then subtract. So I'm going to find the area of this top shape. What is it? Okay, bottom trapezoid, and then I'll subtract them. So let's do the top one first. 1/2. How long is the bottom base from here to here? 3 plus. How long is the top base? 1. How tall is the trapezoid? 2. So 1/2, 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Cut it in half. This is a 4. Then on bottom, let's see, our little trapezoid is 1/2. How long is the x-axis base? 2 plus. How long is the other base? And then what's the height? 1. So I have 2 plus 1 is 3. 3/2, yep. Or let's do 3/2 would be 1.5. And then what do I do with 4 and 1.5? Add or subtract? Subtract. So this is really what? 4 minus 1.5 would be 2.5.
What is below the axis?
So I did 4 minus 1.5 since it was below. Does that make sense? So that's why I'm subtracting it to begin with. So 4 minus 1.5 is 2.5, which is the same as 5/2. And if I have 5/2 times 1/5, oh, it should be 0.5 as our answer, which is not a choice. So never mind, that didn't help. Answer E, 0.5. Got it? Okay. Alright, next one, number 11. What do you do? What are you gonna do? Okay, U sub, yeah, but what am I doing? What formula? Average value. So what should be in front of my integral? Okay, very good. So 1 over 2 minus 0, integral 0 to 2. And then x squared, x cubed plus 1 dx. Does that make sense? So it's still an integral, you just have that one little fraction piece in front of it. Okay, so I'll give you a couple minutes to work on that one. This one might take you a little longer.
What's the first thing we're supposed to do? What's the first thing?
Pick your U.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I'm saying, like, did we rewrite x third constantly?
no, what I would do is, so your 1 over 2 minus 0 is just a 1/2. And then here, you're going to do U sub, so your U would be x cubed plus 1. And then what would your du be?
3x.
Yep. Which makes dx equal to du over 3x squared. And then when you come back to this integral, you already had an x squared here, root u, and then a du over 3x squared. Now, real quick, when you do get to this step at some point, when I pull the 3 out to the front, is it going to be a 3/2? 1/3 with a 1/2 though. 1/6. Good job. Okay, so one more time if you missed that, my squareds cross out, but then when I pull this 3 to the front as a 1/3, I have a 1/2 and a 1/3. That's really going to be a 1/6. And then I have u to the 1/2 du, since it's a square root. Add 1 to a 1/2, what do you get? 3/2. And if I divide by 3/2, what am I multiplying by? 2/3, now next to a 1/6. And then I forgot to change my endpoints, so I'm going to pause and do that right now. My upper endpoint used to be a 2. Plug in a 2 to your u. What's your new top endpoint?
9.
Okay, yeah, 2 comes over here. I would have 2 cubed plus 1, which is 8 plus 1, which is 9. Okay, then on the bottom here, I had a 0. 0 cubed plus 1, what's my new bottom endpoint? 1. And remember, guys, that the reason we do that is to not ever have to go back to x's. I just finished the problem with u's.
That's the shortcut one, right?
Yes, that's the shortcut. The other way works. It's just up to you what you like better. Now this fraction at the front, what's 1 times 2 on top? 6 times 3? What's 2 out of 18 the same as? 1/9 u cubed square rooted. Okay, remember, that's what that means if it's a 3 over 2. The top is the power, the bottom is the root. So f of 9 would be 1/9 square root 9 and then cubed. Square root of 9 is what? 3 cubed is? Divided by 9? 3 for the top. Plugging in a 1 on bottom, I have a 9th square root 1 to the 3rd power. But square root of 1 is? 1 cubed is? 1 times a 9th is? A 9th. And then what do I do with those? Subtract for fundamental theorem. So it'd be 3 minus a 9th. But then nobody likes that. We got to get a common denominator. 9 needs to be multiplied top and bottom so that they match. 9 times 3 is 27 ninths. Minus 1/9 is 26 ninths. Get it? Got it? Feeling better about this? Okay. Turn the page. Okay, I'm going to do number 12 with you, then I'm going to have you try number 13. Number 12, it says, using substitution, u equals x squared plus 1. Okay, notice that's inside an e to the power. Okay, so that's probably what we would have picked anyway. Okay, it says that integral is equivalent to which of the following? Okay, now look at all of your integrals. What are they written in terms of? U's and du's. So all I have to do is switch the integral into u mode and then pick an answer. Okay? So what did they tell me to choose as my u? Okay, x squared plus 1. What does that make du? 2x dx, which means dx is what?
Du divided by 2x.
Du over 2x. Then I come back to my original equation. I have 0 to 3, but I'm going to pull that off for now. 8x e to the u, because my x squared plus 1 is my u. And then dx is now a du over 2x. So far, so good? Okay, what is 8x divided by 2x? A 4 in the front, integral e to the u. Now, stop there. Look at my answers. Which one can I already cross out? Okay, it's supposed to be a 4 in the front. A has a half in front. I don't even have to actually do the integral. Okay, and then D, instead of a 4, they have a 4th. I know that's wrong. Okay, then what is my last step to fully convert my interval? Change your endpoints. So if I have a 0 and a 3, what's 3 times 2? 6 on top.
You said 9.
No, because she's doing DU instead of U.
Du instead. Oh, F. Oh, I mean, fun fact that I plugged into the wrong thing. Okay, U is x squared plus 1.
F, I mean...
Effortlessly fixed the problem. Okay, so if it was a 3, 3 squared is 9 plus 1 is, so that should have been a 10. Okay, then on the bottom we're plugging in a 0. 0 squared plus 1 is 1. So which one do we pick? Good job.
Way more sense to me.
Are we done?
Huh?
The other way, makes
done
way
now?
more sense to me.
No.
We're not done?
No, why would we be done?
Why are we not?
Okay, do number 13.
Talking about her.
Like 51. So like 6 minutes. It was C. Okay, so now that I've done one for you, you're going to try the next one. They're even telling you what to pick to be so nice to you.
That's very
work if you
Yeah.
actually know how to do it.
Stop.
Graphic. So it's a V, and x minus 7 shifts it to the right 7. It would be down 7 if it was like this. That would be down 7. But if it's this, you're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, and then do your V. And then where are you shading from? And if I stop at 4, what shape is that?
Why are the songs so long? I know, I tried to.
Traffic light.
So you'll know how tall this base is if you plug in 0. What's 0 minus 7? Absolute value. You set positive 7. And then if I plug in 4, what's 4 minus 7? Negative 3, absolute value is 3. So then now you know this base is 7, this base is 3, and then how far apart? 4 is your height. So it'd be 1/2 base 1 plus base 2 times width. We got it?
Yeah.
Which one is it? Do you see it up there? Oh, isn't it C? No, oh, it's C, you scrubs. Okay, 4 minutes left. We'll finish one more. Oh, what'd you get? 2 good. Okay, last one. There was one just like this on your test, which, while I'm thinking about it, okay, test corrections, if you haven't done them, okay, you need to do them. You can come during lunch, or, that's okay, I'm reminding you, okay, or you can come after school on Thursday. The next 3 days, I can't stay after school. So you have Thursday after school, I'll stay till like 5 if you need it. But don't forget, you can come during lunch. Bring your lunch up here, but you need a pass, so tell me if you're coming. Yes?
When can I take that?
During lunch. Just whenever you finish that quiz. Okay, last one. What is the smallest number on any of these integrals that you see on the endpoints? Okay, the smallest integral that I see is -5. What's the biggest one you see? 5. Okay, focus, focus. Okay, then what point did they pick in the middle between those two? A 2. So if I want to go from -5 to 5, I can go from -5 to 2, and then keep going from 2 to 5. Do we all agree with that? Okay, integral -5 to 5 is the same as -5 to 2. Stop, and then go 2 to 5, and then add them up. Okay, what is the integral from -5 to 2? They told it to you. -17. Plus, what is the integral from 2 to 5 if the integral from 5 to 2 is -4? Positive 4. Why is it positive? Because you have to flip it. They gave me the endpoints backwards, so I have to reverse that to be a +4. And then -17 plus 4 is -13. Also, since I'm not staying after for school, I will be here the next 2 mornings at 8:30. But if you need a pass, ask me for it and I'll write it for you now. Okay. I mean, I freaking hate mornings, but since I can't, I have a dentist appointment and Ash has a doctor's appointment. So.